Welcome to Talking in Stations, live coverage of the Y-2 armor timer for this Keepstar here that we're looking at behind me. You can see that Condi, which is Goonswarm, is arriving at their Keepstar now. They've been in system for about 2 hours. The timer on here is in the 12 minutes. Tie-dye, which is time dilation, which is essentially a slow motioning of time so that all the commands get recorded in proper order, is down at 10%, which means we are moving at 10% real speed. And that's what that slowness is. We'll take a quick look around some of the fixtures of the grid, which is the battlefield. That's what you call it in EVE Online. Right now we're seeing orange, which would be the Imperium ships. They are anchoring on their Keepstar. That's the structure that's being fought over. To the right of it, you will see there's a wall of bubbles, which are warp disruption fields. So any ship that goes into those gets stuck in the mud. It's like tar and can be targeted and destroyed a lot easier. The blue chips are the invading forces known as PAPI. That's it's a combination of many coalitions. But
it's just everyone else, right? It's the rest of the universe is basically PAPI of the Allied forces. Pretty
much, yeah. We expect to see an actual fight. This is not a psychological warfare. Both teams have shown up. The armor timer is an important timer for structures because it is the last time you can use the structure as a defensive advantage, because if you wait to fight on the last timer, which is the hull timer, when the hull gets penetrated and explode, the structure disappears and you are vulnerable. Your fleet is vulnerable in space without any protection. But during an armor timer, since it's just the armor of the structure, if you lose the timer, the structure doesn't disappear. So it still allows you tethering access, which will protect you, make you invulnerable. And it's also a way of adding capacitor to your ship so that you can jump out if you were a capital ship that needs capacitor to jump. So an armor timer is ideally when you want to put up your fiercest resistance, because if you lose, it doesn't put your fleet in jeopardy. We're still seeing ships arrive in slow motion. Remember, we're working at, this is bullet speed, we're working at 10%.
Yeah, basically CCP invented Deadeye way earlier than Red Dead Redemption.
All right, it's going to be thousands and thousands of fighters and drones, some of them manned, some of them unmanned. Looking at, on the one hand, a grouping over here, I believe is a Keepstar. Sorry, not a Keepstar, an Astra House, which is a different structure. It's kind of like a siege machine or a siege base. Here comes another fleet from the Imperium coming in on the right here.
I think the technical term is a perch, right?
No, a perch is when you're yes, but a perch is when you sit on top of a structure to look at it, to be on the same grid with it, to be able to interact with it. But you're sitting there far away out of range, so it's the perch. And you can do it in a ship by yourself, or you can do it on a station where you're safe because you're tethered up and invulnerable. I think I call them siege machines because it's kind of like the, you know, those siege machines they would put on the castle wall so that you could overcome it. That's how I see these things. Sometimes you have one, sometimes you have four, sometimes you surround it. I don't think having more than one has become any kind of advantage. So I think people only put down one now. They used to put down four and surround it, and it used to be all dramatic. And they're just like, well, it didn't help tie-dye or anything, so what's the point? All right. Well, did the title not take? Thanks for changing the title. Thought that took. All right, this is mostly for posterity anyway. But other people streaming this would include Ron USMC. Recommend his stream. He explains a lot of things, has different cameras. He is a pilot for test. Was a fleet commander there for mostly for skirmishes and defense, but he's aware of all the stuff that's going on. I think who else is streaming today?
Well, the Imperium is streaming.
The Imperium, Boat. I think Boat's probably streaming for the Imperium, right?
Trash Talk Tuesday is also streaming it. So
You have a lot of options if you want to watch it live. Again, we're doing this mostly for posterity so that we have a video that
I think the
people can see
important
later.
thing is that if you wanted to comment on that, is that there's 1,300 viewers on the Imperium News site and 1,200 viewers on Ron's Twitch. So, and these are not necessarily the same viewers. I would actually basically postulate that they are not at all the same viewers. So they are basically the sum of both sides. So right now,
Why would you say they're not the same?
Well, because I'm pretty sure that the Imperium News viewers mostly don't necessarily want to watch Ron's stuff, and vice versa.
Well, there's probably in the eyes of the combatants who are on the field, which is actually far more than the viewers of Twitch, is that you're wanting to pay attention to what's going on in the game because you want to do the right things. You want to be involved. So that's your first priority. Your second priority, when you're sitting and waiting, is to see what's going on out there. And the best information you're going to get is not in a fleet, because a fleet is busy doing a thing. But if you're watching TV, you can hear the news reports about what's going on. So that's when you do want to listen to the opposition to see what's going on their side. Or you want to be loyal and watch your guy and hope that he has enough information to like fill in all the blanks. But I don't know. I think people listen to both, especially in a fight like this. They want to listen to what's going on either side, hoping to get some aspect of information that they wouldn't know. That's kind of what happens. So viewers, inside of local, we have, let me take a look at that. My God, we're at 4,200. Is that right? That is amazing. We knew this is going to be one of the big fights of this war. It's going to be an early proving ground.
Yeah, really almost bit me last night on what the end numbers are going to be. So,
what did you say, and what did he say?
Well, I said that I'd be surprised if we didn't see almost 2,000 defenders from the Imperium, and I would expect almost 3,500 on the attacker side. Vinny said I was way high, so we're going to have to wait and see. It's going to be interesting. Of course, you would expect him to know a bit more about at least what he's going to bring himself. But again, it's a pylon, right? So let's see.
Well, you were more right than he was in this case, because it's at 4,200. Let's actually put some of that information in there.
Yeah, I would like to see a D-scan thing where you can actually see who's who.
Yeah, we don't know the composition of that. That's just how many people are inside this one system. We'll be underway in just a minute. This is going to take a long time because tie-dye at 10% is going to drag it on 10 times its normal speed. However, when there's this many people in here, even if half of them die, you're still going to have a really high percentage of tie-dye. So we don't expect any slowing for the duration of this entire fight. The Keepstar appears to be, with 2 minutes left, that's ticking away at a nice speed. We were at 12 minutes not long ago.
Do you have the tally on local yet?
Yeah, 42.
It's sticking on 42.
42.11. It's going up and down near 42.20 basically. I'm going to actually put in some objective here. So people who are curious because they've just started playing Eve Echoes understand what's going on. And I'll put it in terms that people can understand. And we'll just put that in there. Ooh, that's huge. So let's fix that. So 4,200 pilots, damage 0. Timer. Here we go. I think it's going to be at 15 minutes the whole time. Damage should start being applied pretty quick, but we'll see.
Just by looking at one of the T-scan thing that I got a hold of, I think there's about 1,400 goons or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So I'm already in the moving within the ballpark of right, even though it's almost spot on what Willie said. So if it sticks here, it's basically going to be really calling it.
I forget how to do this. Let's see. Tactical camera. There we go. This will allow me to get better views for the audience. I had a 3D mouse around here. It's way back here. Let's see, does that work right off the bat? No, we'll give it a minute. Okay, timer is already at 13 minutes and ticking down. That means that the attackers haven't done any damage yet, and they have 15 minutes now, actually only 13, to make something happen. Or they lose their window of opportunity. The amount of damage on the Keepstar is 0. But you will see damage start to be applied here quickly, or within the next 12 minutes. Looks like defensive bubbles coming up. You see that one in the red. That's from a Hector, I believe. That's, again, to protect for range control and that sort of stuff. To keep people either trapped in or trapped from passing. Make that a little clear. See if I can't get this mouse to do some fun stuff.
Yeah, this is where you can go and brew yourself a coffee and maybe a snack, because this, boys and girls, is going to take a while.
Well, we're already seeing something interesting. The timer started. The Keepstar has defensive fleets on it. They're all sub-capital fleets. That's the only thing really that the Imperium wants to move up into this area. It is a different region after all. So you don't want to and can't move capitals unless you move them through a gate, which is very dangerous. You see one of those blobs there is a gate. I think the one on the right there. So anything that would come through that gate would have some trouble. So what that means is that the defense is going to be the Keepstar and its defenses plus, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6. Now I'm just looking at clusters of fleets. Imperium fleets, which is not surprising. The limit for a fleet is 255 ships. And we have probably around 1,400 Imperium defenders here. So that kind of works together. The little clusters of orange is probably one fleet because they all warp together in order to stay unified. See if I can. If you have any questions, let me know.
Well, we did maybe forget to make a little bit of a joke of the fact that fleets in EVE Online are still 8-bit.
Well, again, the graphic capability is, well, first of all, the stability of the client is much greater than it was in 2018 and before, because we moved to a 64-bit client, which allows your desktop client to utilize more than 1 gigabyte of RAM. It might have been 2, but in any case.
The funny thing is that that EVE still has some of those remnants of being an old game, so... Well, some of them have been fixed, like how much can be in a stack of items, right? It's still limited, but it used to be even more limited. So you ended up with massive stacks of titanium and things like that. And fleets like this is still in the 256. So actual 8-bit, right? It's just one of those limitations that needs to be there. But it's just weird. But we also had limits on the maximum amount of people that could be in a corporation was way lower, right? It's just, you never expected to reach these sizes of things, sizes of corporations, sizes of fleets, sizes of fights. I think there was a quote from CCP somewhere on the Tech 3 upgrade of their servers that pretty much what the EVE players keep doing is that we build the servers to handle 500 people, they bring 1,000. We build it to handle 1,000, they bring 2,000. And now recently they had just reached something like the record of 6,000, right? Wasn't that the all-time record? Well, it was Killer B and friends doing shenanigans, and that led to that record being broken.
Yeah, we're at 4,200 and plus fighters in the system. And yeah, I like that point you make. 256 is 8-bit there, I guess, and it's very computery.
Yeah, it's literally 8-bit fleets.
Right. So I lost track of what I was saying, though. I think it was 1,400 combatants for the Imperium defending.
Yeah.
So if you do the math, I mean, yeah, if you do the math, that's like 2,000, 1,800 to 2,200 Pappy invaders coming in here. So they have the numbers advantage, which has always been expected in this war. One characteristic of it is that the Imperium is outnumbered. The ratio is up for grabs. That's part of some definition. But they are outnumbered. I think it's pretty clear. Might go grab some water. We're at, I wanted to report also, we are paused, which means the timer ticks down from 15 minutes to 0 minutes. When it gets to 0 minutes, it is no longer vulnerable. So that is a window of time, that 15 minutes, that this thing is vulnerable to damage and attack. When it is paused, that means enough damage is being applied to the Keepstar that the timer itself is timed out, so it has to wait. And when the damage stops, then the timer can continue. So what that means is this Keepstar is now under attack.
Yeah, it's like a countdown, right? Where it's going, okay, if you want to kill me, you have this amount of time. So classically 10 seconds to draw your gun and shoot. But here it's just 15 minutes. But as long as someone is then reaching that cap, then the clock is no longer counting down, and you keep applying damage, and then you have the whole thing with the damage cap that is artificially limited, and that means that pretty much every structure fight is going to take exactly the same time.
We're seeing a Ferox fleet there on the right. I have on the left. Inside that blue bubble, there's a second bubble going up. I think there's actually 3 bubbles total now. And if I'm not mistaken, those are defensive bubbles. So in a situation like this, where you have server stability issues, and actually, let's take a moment to go back. I remembered what I was saying. It used to be that your client was 32-bit, which meant it could only handle 1 gig of memory. Instability followed in that scenario when you had this many people on the grid at the same time. So lots of calculations on the server side, but even the client side, your desktop side, your application couldn't handle this. And so there was a lot of disconnects. So about 1.5 years ago, they switched over to a 64-bit client, which allowed up to like 12 gigabytes of memory to be used. And so client side stability increased dramatically, which is why we can bring you these fights now live in a way that's a lot more stable than it used to be. We used to get disconnected all the time. You couldn't touch the camera. You couldn't rotate the camera. It would disconnect you and you couldn't get back on for hours. So that's what fights used to look like. Now we can actually move around and zoom in and that sort of stuff, which is totally a different experience. All right, we're still paused. I haven't seen any damage show up yet, so it's not calculated yet. So the other thing that is important is with this many people in system, this is like 4,200. This is a very big fight. We're looking for server stability and performance to see how it reacts. And so far, with 10% tie-dye, it seems to be doing really well. Yeah, we're definitely pegged at 10%.
Can you see the undocking threads yet?
Not yet, but one more thing about this. So the reason that you're going to see fleets move to some location on the grid and then bubble up is actually a defensive mechanism to keep people who get disconnected from flying off. And so what that means is when they land on a perch and there's server instability or there's client instability and they get disconnected, the ship will actually zoom away and take a while to get there. Even if the person who's playing relogs in and connects, that ship still has to make that warp out and warp back in. And in 10% tie-dye, that takes 10 times longer than normal. So essentially, you're knocked out of combat for a long time. So as a defensive mechanism, when a fleet, like the one in the middle left there that I'm hovered over, lands on a perch, what they try to do is bubble themselves in. So if somebody gets disconnected, they are bubbled and take a lot longer to warp out. And that gives the person a chance to log back in. And chances are, if they log back in quick enough, they haven't gone anywhere. So that's why you're seeing that a group get bubbled. It doesn't mean they're in trouble and they've gotten tackled. It means that they're going to be there for a minute. So they've bubbled up to secure their guys from disconnecting. So again, the Imperium brought subcap fleets because that's what they could get through the gate relatively easy. They came 2 hours early, which is earlier than expected. Normally you show up an hour before. But if they have undocked capital ships, which is possible, those were in the station itself. They were not moved here. Y-2 strategically is initiatives, was their rendezvous point as they were retreating from Upper Fountain, and their collection point, and then from here they would cross into Delft because it's just one jump away. So there's probably a lot of equipment still in Y-2, although we know from reports that a lot of equipment was actually evacuated before, about a week ago. So they probably left some dreads to for this particular fight. We can actually zoom in and see. We won't zoom in because I'm still scared of, I'm still traumatized from disconnects. I see Ferox fleets. I see a lot of Logi, Jackdaw. Oh, and Eos. That's good to see. Balghorn. This is a kitchen sink. Looks like.
Of everything that's there.
You do have a D-scan?
No, I was asking if you were able to get one.
No. If somebody wants to give me a D-scan.
We have one from earlier. It's a bit dated, but I do have one. Let me get it for you.
Right. I'm just going through and looking at some of the ships grouped up here. See what their compositions are. Generally, the compositions to the viewer won't matter. It's really, you're in the deep baseball, or you're into statistics if you want to know what they're using and why. Here comes a fleet flying in. You can see them all balled up together. They are anchored around each other. Let's see. When that lands, we'll take a look at what actually arrived. Now, anybody who plays E would be like, of course the fleets matter, but they matter to who's on the field and to the generals to figure out what they're capable of and to strategize. But to the viewer, we just are going to stick with broad strokes. All this grouping on the top left are unmanned fighters. They're deployed by capital ships, and we're seeing a huge amount of Templars. And okay, here's my naming skills. Energy. I got to take my. Thank you.
Einherja.
Einherja. I'll take it.
Einherja.
Einherja.
Caleb wins.
You have to learn to roll those R's, but.
Okay. All right. We have some purifiers. That's a bombing squad going after that group of, I believe it was Feroxes that are blue. They are releasing bombs, I believe. You can see that. We're going to take a look right here. Take our eyes off the Keepstar for a second and zoom into see if this is a bombing run in slow motion. These are bombers, but we don't know if they have launched their ordnance. Yeah, these are purifiers and hounds. These are goon swarm or...
But we're in full tie-dye now, right?
Oh yeah, 10%.
Well, that means that from when they show up to when the pilots are pushing the button, there's going to be a few minutes before we actually see if anything's coming up those pipes.
Yeah, I got swung around real bad, but I think this is the group we're looking at.
What was it? DBRB used to say that reloading bombs in tie-dye takes about 15 minutes, so you can go potty and make yourself a coffee or whatever.
Yeah, the bombers. Something's going on here. Let me see if I can. I don't think I have bombs on. Yeah. So you're just going to have to put up with a lot of slow motion stuff because, okay, one of the spheres has disappeared, one of the disruption spheres. There, I think I got to it. You see all these little blue lights going back and forth? Those are shield repair modules normally. And if you see an orange one, that's an armor repair. Looks like a new bubble is coming up. Let's see if I can see the orange. Yeah, that is put up probably by, let me look at this ship, but it might be somebody bubbling the actual bombers. Yes, that's a Saber. Malvina Mazon from Horde bubbled those hounds. And there's a hero bubble if that's what happened. Let's see. Because he traps them. Okay, we're seeing some destruction on field. You see that little bright light that's looks like... Yeah, it looks like these bombers might be in trouble if they're actually tackled. That Saber was a heads-up Saber. Those are your heroes in matches like this. They can sneak in or avoid getting destroyed before they get on top of the targets. They put up a warp disruption field, therefore tackling or trapping whatever fleet he is near. You can see that giant sphere. Here comes a second one. We have some bombers warping off. So they've probably delivered. There's the bomb right there. Let's see if I can highlight it. Yep. Shooting electron bombs.
Can I complain about the fact that the 2-to-1 is in Pappy's favor on field, but on the viewers it looks like it's flipped. It's almost 1800 is on eyes from INN and about 1,000 on Ron. So it's like, why is there a 2-to-1 split on the viewers? Are the Imperium thinking this is a spectator sport now?
Well, again, this moves so slow that if you're not involved directly in the action, you want to hear what's going on. So electron bombs have been shot from these hounds and purifiers at this fleet of, I think I said earlier, there were Feroxes. Oh no, there's Raven battleship. There's a battleships in there. Yeah, this is a test fleet. The big triangles are battleships. There's a bomb right there. Let's see if we can follow it. Oh yeah, we have at least 1, 2, 3, 4 bomber casualties, 5 bomber casualties. And looks like this group actually got out. You can see them slowly making their way out. They are basically at warp because nothing moves that fast. So they warped out before the bubble went up. These 3 guys down here are going to get out. This is weird. It's a little bit different on screen. Yeah. These 3 guys are probably going to get out. These guys look like they're scampering for the exits. And meanwhile, the bombs are going off. I'll back out just a little bit. There goes the electron bomb. That I believe that green one going off. Right in the middle there. Oh, let's see. We have... There they go. You can see the flashes of green. The red bubble that's opening up is a brand new, it's an expanded sphere. It'll cool off, right? Imagine that it's hot right now and then it will cool off. That one just disappeared. So it looks like the action right now is this Raven Pappy fleet getting hit by bombers. Some of the bombers paid with their lives. They'll be back. All right, we do see some destruction up here. Let's see if we can find out what's blowing up on the top there. Yeah, you can see it at the very top, those bright explosions. Here's another bomb. This one is shrapnel. That's from the initiative, so there's probably more than one bombing fleet here. Well, we know there was at least two. Another bomber explodes. Something got hit in the middle there. Let's see if we can figure out what that is. Anytime you see self-destruct, that's usually a pod, and the guy lost his ship, doesn't want to fly home in a pod, so he self-destructs. Okay, we have reinforcements coming in on the right-hand side here. These are jackdaws, and jackdaws are better because they're faster at destroying frigate-sized. So these guys are here to take care of the bombers that are left over. They're going to try to wipe out those little frigate-sized stealth bombers. And they will chew them up. You can see them arriving on the right. They're a little bit late. These guys have made it out. Here comes another bomb. This one is, well, it just says bomb.
Do we have a D-scan of the ship types at the moment?
No, that was released from a Hound. Let's see if the... Okay, more bubbles going up. You're seeing the green flashes are the bombs. The explosions are the bright yellows. You're seeing more interdicting... Oh, here comes another fleet. This is a big one. I'm going to back out just a bit. I went the wrong way. We'll move up. Now we're getting into hand-to-hand combat here as these look big. So these are... Oh, I just can't read it yet. Oh, these are Ospreys. So these are cruiser repair ships. So they will be joining... Let's see. What do we have here? Sorry, everything's taking a while and it's hard to see. Feroxes. Those are battle cruisers. They look pretty hefty. I think there's more than just battle cruisers, but you see at least one. Ooh, another fleet coming in. Everybody's coming in on this one. This second fleet is... Actually, we have 3 fleets. So they've been commanded into this fight. You saw the jackdaws on the right-hand side here arrive from Horde, and now Goonswarm has sent in some... That's a monitor, so let's see. Monitors are usually carrying fleet commanders. Yeah, so that's Feroxes. We've established that. Over here are more Feroxes. So Feroxes are battle cruisers, and they're basically heavy infantry in this game. And so they're coming in to slug it out with the fleet that's essentially trapped up here. I'm pretty sure they're trapped. First, they took a defensive perch in order to attack or assail the Keepstar at range. Bombers came in to try to destroy them or ward them off, and the bombers have been followed by battle cruisers, and that's the 2 fleets that you see now right outside the blue here. And as reinforcements to take care of some of the bombers, probably these jackdaws flew in to try to... They're tactical destroyers to try to take out some of those frigate-sized groups. So we're definitely seeing a fight here. We'll see more destruction. You see more bubbles coming up. That's interdicting. Now, these bubbles are not defensive bubbles anymore. Now we're into combat. So you're seeing them trying to trap people on the field to make them unable to escape. And it's happening on both sides, probably. New fleet coming in. We don't have them labeled, but they are Cerberus. Do
you have eyes on the actual target of the bombing? the dead Raven fleet?
No, I'm just seeing like 3 or 4 explosions. I'll go look at wreckage in a second. Cerberuses are they're cruisers, but they're heavy-hitting cruisers. These are missile cruisers. They're fast and they pack a big punch, and that's what you want to use against battle cruisers that are bigger and less mobile. You want to use missiles on those. So the Cerberuses are assault cruisers, or heavy assault cruisers. Wow, there's a huge bombing run. Wow, that's massive destruction there. Looks like it's taken a while, but that can only be a bombing run because there are so many casualties in there. Every one of those center points. Wow, that is huge. Let's see if we can see what's blowing up. These look like, it's an ever increasing radius of destruction. It's probably a successful bombing run. All the bombs that you saw earlier are finally doing their damage, and we're seeing wreckage for a lot of cruisers in there. So I think there's some of the... See if I can.
I think the majority is that Raven fleet, right? The test Raven fleet that just got completely wiped.
Yeah, no.
And you can see them right now on Sea Kill. They basically just popped in all at once when the bombs hit.
Okay, so yeah, these explosions are the size of battleships. So that's successful. Yeah, here are the Ravens. Some of these guys are escaping or trying to get out. There's more bombs. Here's another bomb going in there. Let's see if I can get my finger on it.
That is a lot of Ravens dead. Wow.
Yeah, how many are ticking
That's
up?
Already counted a lot of billions because they're all $250 million fits. So it's like tick, 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 tick.
Yeah, that is massive, massive casualties. Let's actually bring up.
And yeah, as you said, I think it looks like it was an initiative bombing.
Yeah. See if I can bring up the Z-Kill board, and we'll see how many popped up. I thought I had that up. We can get that real quick. Yeah, all this in Y-Tech. Oh yeah, those are tons of Ravens all taken out by Initiative. So Initiative gets a bomb strike on a battleship fleet for mostly test with a high success rate. We'll report more in just a second. I want to get some statistics up. Yeah, that was a pretty big smash, so congrats. Let's just do a quick transition so you can see some of the casualties coming through in real time.
Yeah, it looks like now
pods.
everything is piling on to actually fight around that area, right? So now you're getting a bit of a slugfest.
Yeah, you can see, oof, there's another round of... what are those? Yeah, the Raven fleet just got annihilated. We don't know if all of them got destroyed, but that's...
No, they didn't. There's a little bit of remainers that's gathered on top of the fight right now. Yeah.
That's a good chunk, though. Okay, you have Cerberus is looking like they're trying to get out of this bubble here. They don't want to be caught in that. Their best defense is speed and range control. So they want to get out of these bubbles. They don't want to be tagged or... Okay, we have a counter bombing run here by the blue team, which is Pappy, and these look like they're headed for... Goonswarm's Ferox fleet. You can see the bombs. We'll see if we can grab one here. Again, just labeled bomb. So that's no help, but we'll look for the color to see. These look to be headed. It's only like, I think it only was 4 bombers, but that might be enough. Oh, you have reinforcement fleets down here in the right. So as that bombing run is going, we're seeing Eagles and Basilisks arrive. That's a cruiser fleet. Yeah, this is the brawl here. This is where the fight's happening. We'll back out a little bit to give you a little more strategic view as people come in. Everybody's converging now. We have 2 more fleets coming in from Pappy. Goonswarm has about 4 or 5 fleets here. Let's look at these bombs here. We're still looking at these bombs coming right into these Feroxes. I'm going to zoom in so we can see if this bomb connects or these bombs connect. And they may not be enough. There was only, I think, 3 or 4. The initiative bombing run, in contrast, was many more than that. All right, so what we're seeing now is a layering of types of ships. You have frigates, you have bombers that are frigate sized. You have oh, there's a Raven. We just saw it blow up real time on the right hand side there. It lit up the sky. Here's the bomb. It's just about at range. These bombs travel in this direct line from when you launch them for, I want to say 30. Oh, it looks like the bomb is passing the fleet it was supposed to hit. It's an electron bomb. There's 2, 3. Oh, they're bombing from the top as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you have bombs coming to the same fleet, the Ferox fleet, from different directions. And so now you might see some destruction. So we're about to see a wave of destruction like we saw with the Ravens. It's possible we'll see that. It depends on how well targeted these bombs were. And reinforcements from all directions coming in. So this is definitely the epicenter of combat right now. We're still waiting. Here we go. Now we're starting to see some explosions. Oof. These guys are getting hit down here.
Starting to get the kills coming in from this slugfest, right?
Yeah.
On sea kill, you're starting to see the Feroxes being killed.
Yeah, those are jackdaws getting hit down there. It looked like 4 or 5 of them got blown up. Up here, here we go. This is, okay, the yellow explosion is the first bomb that I've seen. I believe that's Electron. No, that would be, I don't know what color the yellow bomb is. You're seeing little explosions here and there. Those are frigates going up after being targeted and destroyed. There's a bomb. Oh. Yeah, any second now we should start seeing, yeah, look at these jackdaws down here getting jacked. That must be like 5 or 6. There's another 5 or 6. We'll take a closer look. Yeah, you can't sit too long. Yeah, these are a lot of frigates. Frigates are a little less susceptible to bombs. Bombs and missiles like big targets. They like that giant slab of metal that they can rip through. If you're small, they end up doing less damage, or if you're moving fast.
Yeah, lots and lots of dead jackdaws now.
Yeah, so that's what we're seeing down here on the left. The blue light is an explosion that happens once every 8% of the time or something, so it's just a novelty. Wow, we're still over 4,200. Let's go, actually, 4,270 is the new count. That is...
I think there's more trying to get in, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
We already also hitting better time zone for US, right?
Yeah. Let's take another look at more bubbles coming up. I don't see a huge success rate on the bombing run against those Feroxes, though. Again, it may be delayed. When we saw the Ravens getting hit, we didn't see them explode for, in our real time, a good 10 minutes. Jackdaw's still taking a ton of punishment. The bottom left, that's the blue light, the bright, intense light down there. That's a Jackdaw fleet. They were hit by a bombing run.
And it might not have hit as well. I think the bombing run was almost a perfect bombing run on the Ravens, right? It's pretty much wiped out that entire fleet.
Well, Ravens are more susceptible to bombing runs. Yeah. They're bigger. And they move slower. And if the pilot, the FC, the fleet commander, is not careful, he will be broadsided by bombs. Oh, we have some action over here on the top right. It's a major explosion. Let's see, that was like capital size explosion, but I'm not sure that's what that was. What is this down here? Oh, that's an Apostle. So we have some repair ships moving in. I'm going to back out for a minute, get an idea of where we're at with the overall battle. Yeah, definitely we have fleets in massive conflict. On a perch outside the Keepstar. We'll take a look at the Keepstar for a minute. You can see the trails of reinforcements coming in. So that's what that looks like. They look like ants. Remember, these are thousands and thousands of ships. Just take a quick check on that Keepstar. 9 minutes, 21. It is ticking down, which means not enough damage is being applied to that Keepstar. It is ticking down to safety with 9 minutes and 14 seconds to go.
Just a bit of fun information. Convict dropped in on the INN stream and just is kind of apologizing for, sorry guys, our servers are melting. You're killing it.
Yeah, this is, remember the client side problem has generally been lifted. Otherwise we'd have crashed a long time ago. There's no way to move around before. But the server side has not been, it's been improved, and it always is improved, but it's not fixed. Okay, so what you're seeing...
It's never going to get fixed, right? Because, as I think I mentioned earlier, we will always just break it as players. If they fortify it to be able to handle 5,000, we're going to bring 7,000. It's just the way it's always been. We always bring more than the server can actually handle.
All right, so I don't understand exactly what's going on here, but you're seeing a lot of Goon Swarm or the Imperium fly out of that hot zone that they were in where we were watching the battle just a minute ago. They're flying past the Keepstar into these bubbles. What I don't know is if the bubbles are preventing them from going any further, or if that's a perch that they've picked out to defend themselves so nobody can get on top of them. In other words, like a wall behind them. Okay, incoming down here we have another blue fleet. This is Scimitar. I always end up hitting the Scimitars or the repair ships. That doesn't tell me what kind of fleet that is. The Munins. Oh, okay. So they're bailing for Munins get there. Munins are, again, heavy assault cruisers. They are fast and they pack a punch. And when you get a good FC and disciplined fighters, those guys will rip through anything, including battleships. So looks like Goon Swarm's taking a tactical retreat back here. That's probably after their Jackdaw fleet got jacked by bombs. Yeah, the Feroxes and Jackdaws are retreating. They'll come back here, regroup, and then figure out what they're doing next. They might have done the damage they wanted to do, and there's no purpose in sticking around while all this weight comes down on them. So they're bailing. We call that moonwalking out. When you do a thing, and then you just take off in safety. It's called killing something and then moonwalking out because it looks cool. Yeah, ton of Pappy converging on this fight. So whoever's still stuck in that fight, odds are over time it's going to be Blue's victory. We're seeing explosions in the orange area, which is the Imperium. So probably more destruction on the Imperium side. Remember, this is all delayed. Decisions made about 15 minutes ago are now being visible.
Well, and just to give a little bit of highlight, I think the time is down to almost 7 minutes now. Mm-hmm. So I think the Pappy needs to actually start shooting it because otherwise this whole thing is going to need a rerun.
Yep. Let's take a quick look at the kill boards and see what we got going on here. So all this is trickling in more or less real time. This is also on a delay. In Y-2, did I really? I've been putting Y-TAC O this whole time. You're seeing Goon Swarm Feroxes get destroyed. That's the latest from there. Okay, now we're seeing that bomb run hit. Remember, we were looking at it? That's all the lights that are going up. You don't get that kind of time destruction when something is primaried and destroyed. This is a bombing run, and that's a signature of it. Many things blowing up at the same time. We're seeing a massive intensity inside that fleet. Let's take a close look. This, I believe, is Jackdaws and Feroxes. That's the ships of choice. They're actually rather cheap. Battle cruisers and destroyers.
You're oversteering a bit on your audio, by the way.
Am I too hot?
Are you around yet?
Am I too hot?
I am.
Is that Sully?
That is Sully. I am back.
All right.
Yay.
Would you like me to share you the overview I used, Metal?
Yeah. What do you mean? How are you gonna do that?
Accept that invite. Popped up.
Yep. It's taking a second to reject. It's just getting there.
And click on the blue cameraman overview.
I love your naming, Sully.
Blue cameraman overview.
In the MOTD of the channel.
Oh. Load. Oh, yeah. Oh, so we were going without a overview profile?
Yeah, because it's obviously first time that client's been on your system, it didn't have any overview.
Oh, well, now everything makes sense. Okay. You're seeing massive explosions of Imperium ships right there. Oh, look at that. Oh, my God. Hold on.
Wow.
If you select main, it will show you the ships without the drones, which may improve your FPS.
Chat is saying that the timer's down to 4 minutes 30.
Let's fix that timer then.
I can already make a call it in. Spoilers.
They don't 4 minutes. They don't have a lot of time. They've got to apply damage to this Keepstar and keep the damage on.
It's not about that. It's because of the mechanics of tie-dye.
They can't even prevent it.
They can't stop it in time. They might stop it once more, but it's going to be literally sitting at 20 seconds, which means that if Imperium managed to make them lose the damage cap or the required damage to hold it for just 2 seconds, it's going to be able to take over, and then it's done.
Yeah,
they'll never be able to hold it fast enough.
The objective looks really good for Goon Swarm and the Imperium at this time. They might be able to prevent that Keepstar from going any further towards destruction. And at this point, it doesn't matter who gets destroyed on the field or not. It's the military objectives that you're looking for. And this could be a real morale boost for the Imperium. It kind of needs a morale boost right now after Fountain fell within the first month. But this is just kind of a health check on where the Imperium is, what they're capable of doing, and where Pappy is and what they're capable of bringing.
Yeah, and not to rub it in, but it is also a little bit of a cloth in Vill's face, because he was getting a little bit cocky and almost called this an easy win, and it was already over. It's like, yeah, but what if they show up? And apparently they did, and not just did they show up, they actually showed up and did something.
I don't think he predicted they would win this. I think he thought they weren't capable of bringing that many people. That was like one of the... Well, what you're seeing now is after a wave of destruction for the Imperium ships, they are withdrawing to move back to the Keepstar. And even at this early stage, they might have won the objective already by defending that Keepstar in its timer. Yep, there's 1 minute, 1 second left. This is probably over. What do you think, Sully?
I think it's an interesting difference. So when system comes under heavy tie-dye, the first things that suffer are drones. It has been noted that previously light drones and fighter drones under extreme lag, this was before tie-dye, would cease to exist. They would be lost to the ether. The pilots wouldn't get any kill mails. They were just disappearing. It turned out that back then it was due to the heavy load on the server. They tried to cut down on things in space. Most notably, as an example, when a Titan dies, it does actually damage the surrounding area. Under heavy server load, they turn that off. It's a similar sort of thing where they just reduce the load to help the server cope. I think
Pretty sure
Goons
they
on Fleet
removed that
here.
period across the game.
By the way, we're at 41. We're at 4,500 pilots in system. About
By the way,
timer's up. There it goes. You can see it in blue. They saved the timer. Objective goes to the Imperium. They have successfully defended Y-2.
Why is it? What, did it count down already?
Yes, it did.
Wow, that was fast.
That was fast. We expected a long fight.
It was a very good showing by the Imperium. The objective, they played it very well. Very interesting tactic, I find, with the wall of bubbles. It was a very useful way, I think, to prevent the attackers from getting around the Keepstar easily, because that wall itself would pretty much stop any sub-capital fleet movements. So I think Imperium showed up with numbers, with the right strategy, and they won the objective.
And interestingly enough, I was about to ask this from Willie yesterday, whether we should expect to see some new strategies and new ways of actually doing these things. And apparently, it looked like Goons actually showed up with something that is not entirely seen before, right?
What do you mean, not seen before?
With the bubble thing, right? They did that for their own benefit. It was not a mistake.
The wall of bubbles in the back there? I'm not sure what you mean, but what we saw was the Imperium in place early, 2 hours early. They were prepared. They came to fight. They jumped in on a Raven fleet from Test. I think there was some Feroxes in there as well. They did a successful bombing run. The initiative did. They took out a ton of those Ravens, essentially punching Test in the face. Then there was a counter strike from Pappy. Most of that was Horde bombing runs, and they definitely took the toll on the Jackdaws and some of those Feroxes, but you saw them retreat to tactically back to the Keepstar. In the meantime, the objective got away from Pappy, and the day goes to the Imperium.
Did you watch this from the beginning, Zoe?
I didn't, unfortunately. I had a family issue I had to disappear from. Hence why Matt was cameraman today.
He's doing the substitute cam.
Sully promises never to disappear again for these fights.
Couldn't have been that bad. You're still alive, so it can't have been that bad.
Yeah, exactly. We're here and everything's still up and running, so couldn't have been too bad. That was a good fight. That was a good fight to watch. I'm glad that we had such great server stability even with 4,500 people in system, tie-dye does not feel like 10%. This felt pretty good. This felt a lot better than usual 10%. But again, 10% is the best it can record. Sometimes tie-dye goes way below 10%, but it just can't show anything less than 10%. So,
but also, I don't know if I'm correct in this, but this also shows that you don't necessarily need to bring big boys to actually do a defense. There are strategies that at least makes it a little bit more hard for attackers to take down the Keepstars, right?
Yeah, the defensive of a Keepstar is a very difficult thing because there's not been a whole lot of them. The carry at range strategy is very difficult, and I think Goon Swarm, the counter to the carriers at range was just simply their numbers. So their big balls were, from looking at the battlefield, was just purely the sub-capital fights, and with that, Goon Swarm was up against the wall. Likelihood is Goon Swarm have lost more, just on pure sub-capital numbers, but they won their objective. So overall, the victory will go to Swarm.
Well, they also managed to offset it a little bit in their favor with the Raven losses, right? I think they're going to count quite nicely.
well, we'll see how much the damage is on either side. Again, the objective given to the Imperium way more important than the damage. Look at, we still have bombs. These bombs are chasing. These bombs look like they're Pappy bombs chasing, which is kind of funny. Chasing some of the retreating ships. I don't know who they're aiming at. Maybe they're coming in on the remainder.
Most likely just bugged.
Yeah, these are concussion bombs.
I believe they was just launched from the small frigate group on the right of them, trying to catch things just as they're coming in and out.
The stragglers, yeah, that won't matter. That won't make a difference. You might take a few more ships out, but again, impressive showing by the Imperium coming in, punching Test in the face, and taking out a huge Raven fleet, and then winning the day, delaying the attackers from being able to push that Keepstar into hull or past armor. So this thing gets reset. We'll see this again for sure.
The interesting thing will be, now that the objective has been won, there is still the need to extract your fleets. So the Pappy fleet that is over there by the gate, they will need to extract in some form. So they're currently stuck in bubbles. Goon Swarm are, again, stuck in bubbles, but also on the Keepstar. So at some point, these fleets will have to leave. And what has been known in the past is one group will remain, so most notably Goon Swarm may remain, until a time in which there is an asset vulnerable. One good example is a Titan that has just bridged out the fleet. That Titan is now vulnerable because he's on his own. So there may be elongated fights trying to ensure that there isn't a counterattack as you're looking to remove yourself from the system.
Yeah, you might catch a little something extra there. Notice we talked about this earlier. The orange fleets, which are the Imperium, hang around the structure because the structure is still alive and is able to give them protection through tethering and give them energy through tethering as well. So this is why you fight on a timer for armor, not for hull, because if the structure is destroyed, all that goes away. All that defensive advantage goes away. But on an armor timer, even if you lose a timer, you still have that to rely on. That played a big role as well. Oh, it looks like they caught something's blowing up down there, that pin blue light, but
well, I just
good job.
Looking at one of the battle reports, it looks like it's a fairly even loss. It's 55 to 65 billion loss.
Right, but the tie does not go to the defender here. It's all about that objective. Let's take a quick look at some of the kill boards coming in. Looks like, yeah, it's like still, this was a bomber's day, gotta say. That's what that slugfest was at the beginning. Yeah, all I see is a bunch of here they are, that Raven fleet. All right, let's see if we can see all the related kills, and then take a look at what they add up to at this point, as Caleb was saying.
I think it would have been more uneven if they hadn't managed to do that Raven bomb run. I think that counted in their favor, so the score was pretty almost even. Otherwise, it would have been heavier losses on the Imperium to do this defense. But again, worth it, right, to stop that timer.
And all these dreads and carriers that never really got into the mix, they were not able to execute on the Keepstar today. But,
yeah, but they were leftovers, right? I'm pretty sure that the dreads that were there were the leftovers that hadn't been extracted yet.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm looking at this as an analyst saying this is a clean victory for the Imperium. They took some damage, nothing they can't handle. They delivered a pretty humiliating bomb run. Good for them. But they also took that objective relatively easy.
I think the important thing is that they showed that this is not going to be easy. Taking down these things are not necessarily going to be easy. There will be ways to punch back and delay the onslaught. And again, when you got 40 plus of these things hanging around in Delve proper, it's going to be a long war.
Right. The important thing here, and this is why we're looking at this fight, this is one of the few times we've seen the actual two sides come together and fight it out. This was a tug of war. And Imperium comes out doing pretty well because they were outnumbered. I believe there was only, according to Aria, 1,500 combatants from the Imperium. And if there were 4,500 in system, that means they were 2-to-1 outnumbered. 3,000 people against them. And again, they have the advantage of the Keepstar and the defensive part of the game, but I think this is maybe not necessarily a military victory. We have to look at why Pappy wasn't able to apply damage to the Keepstar. As Scully was saying, it might have been the drones couldn't get there fast enough or well enough to keep the damage on it. But what we expected to see, we did not see. And what we expected to see was the Keepstar, its timer paused because enough damage was being applied to it to keep it paused. And Pappy couldn't do that. It slipped right through their fingers and went right into invulnerability and is now restored. And I think we need to answer that question to find out what happened in this fight.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe this is the first major Keepstar defense that we've seen that was actually successful, with over both attacking sides having over 1,000 pilots.
Well, yeah, this is the first time they committed. This is the first time the Imperium committed, and they won.
I think maybe in EVE in general, but we've had Keepstar defenses before, but I don't think there has been a fight over a Keepstar that has resulted in a successful defense.
Yeah, I think there might have been one where CVA and Imperium, I believe they might have destroyed one at the last second, or they might have defended one at the last second. I forget.
There's been some destroyed with mere seconds on the timers, but this is one where both sides have committed, from my memory at least, which may be incorrect. I'm sure the chat will correct me.
Yeah, I think there was the Rocket X successfully defended a Keepstar with the help of Test Alliance against Snuff at one point. I wouldn't go so far as to say this is the first time a Keepstar has been defended, but you could say this is the first time the Imperium has defended a Keepstar. Well,
with an outnumbered force, especially.
Yeah, well, yeah, because that's very rare. Usually they're the ones with a ton of players. So anyway, they can be proud of themselves today. I think it's a pretty solid victory.
Oh, indeed, Imperium have done a phenomenal job. Many would say was an uphill battle for this Keepstar, just because obviously they are outnumbered 2-to-1, and they do have the Keepstar and tie-dye defense, which is very powerful. However, I still feel that the attackers brought a capable fleet that could have easily destroyed that Keepstar, and through the work of the defenders, it is still standing.
Yeah, I think the Ravens were supposed to land, apply damage, keep the Keepstar from ticking down to safety so that the drones could arrive. And because of a swift move, bombers were able to eliminate the Ravens, able to eliminate that damage, able to eliminate that window of opportunity for the fighters to arrive and do the rest of the damage. That might be what went wrong here, in which case that was a really impressive counter strike. There is a host of Ravens that were taken out. I'm looking now. There must have been, well, we can check, right? Take a look. It wasn't just 20. You can see all this red here on the right-hand side. It's just Raven after Raven after Raven. Max it could be probably is 250. But let's look up here at the summary and see if it tells us how many Ravens there were. They're not put out by racial class. They're put out by size, so these will be battleships.
150 battleships destroyed.
Yeah, that's not a full fleet, but that's a lot.
It's 46 billion worth.
Right,
that is a large majority of their losses.
Yeah, well, that's all the ships in the battle. There were some, I believe there's some, some Abaddons here from the initiative that were taken out as well. So, but that was only like 20 or 30. So this is at least 150 Ravens probably. And I think that was pivotal. Pretty cool. So Imperium successfully defends Y-2 Keepstar. That's the initiative's rendezvous point before they moved into Delve. Huge fight, over 4,500 pilots, close to 4,600. That is one of the bigger fights Eve has seen. And one of the things that's amazing is the server performance was fantastic. Normally a fight like this would take 8 hours. So we're happy to have it done really within 2 hours. That's amazing. That's probably the biggest takeaway is how well these servers worked. And the interesting thing about that is when the servers are working and when tie-dye isn't crushingly slow, then the FCs can really go to work. Now an FC can really prove himself because they're making decisions faster, they're getting faster feedback. It's a faster game, which means you need to be better at it. You need to be making decisions that are correct quickly. And that takes experience. So I think that's what we saw today. By the way, I don't see any damage on that. Of course, it cleared by now, but I didn't ever see any damage on the. So, yeah. All right. Well, there's an aftermath to take care of. Sully, do you want to continue? I can leave this on for a while, but I need to start my day up.
Unfortunately, I have to disappear again shortly. But a good takeaway is that this fight, I feel the Imperium have managed to withdraw a large majority of their ships from the gate. So now I think it will just be a case of both fleets wanting to wind down, remove themselves from the system, and Test, I'm sure, will be planning another attempted attack at this Keepstar and trying to figure out how they can counter what Greenswarm did today to ensure that if they reinforce it again, you don't have a repeat.
All right. We're going to send you over to the victors, which will be the Imperium. They're streaming it live. You'll hear from Boat. It's a lot of fun. You'll hear what happened behind the scenes with their fleets. They're talking now, so we'll take you to them. Thank you for watching Talking in Stations. We will see you tomorrow on the Sunday show. Thanks, everybody.